Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, got your first dev server overview and gameplay for the Panavia Tornado GR.1. This is a brand new aircraft coming to the British Air Force's tech tree, rank 8, 11.3 PR. Again, this is the dev server. All of the things that you see here and even some of the mods, they are all subject to change. And as you can see, some of these stats just don't look quite right, and I think the reason being is because, again, this is the dev server, whereas this plane can actually fly substantially faster than what it says here on the max speed. So this vehicle is a strike aircraft, again, in the British Air Tech tree, and it sits underneath where the Buccaneer S2 is. So there is a pretty big gulf between the Buccaneer S2 and the GR1, and you will have to more or less trudge through the Great Britain or the British Air Tech tree for the bomber line, which is not going to be fun, but of course this is a very good aircraft. Now, that being said, it has a ton of different modifications. As you can see here, 1,000 pound bombs, all the way up to 2,000 pound guided bombs, and these are the loadouts that you can do. You can also create your own loadouts. Now, when it comes to Air RB, you should be able to destroy 2 bases in full with this. Now, this isn't quite right. It says 8 1,000 pound bombs. You actually get 12 of them. Now, it is very, very capable when it comes to Air RB, but this is going to be substantially better as a base striker and as a close air support aircraft than it is as a dogfighter. It just doesn't have the same maneuverability, speed, acceleration, so on and so forth as other aircraft, especially new ones like the F-16 and the MiG-29. Now, interestingly, one thing I noticed here is that it says it only has chaff countermeasures. In the dev server, I was not able to actually deploy any chaff countermeasures, and this also indicates that it does not have flares, which really, really sucks. So there are some pretty big issues with this thus far, but of course, you know, that's what the dev server is all about. It's to kind of flesh out these issues and bring a first look to the player base about what these aircraft are going to be all about. Now, it doesn't have any sort of secondary camouflage as well, but of course, again, this is the dev server, so take pretty much everything you see with a grain of salt. So in this gameplay, I will be showing you some various capabilities of this aircraft, including some air-to-air capabilities, close air or ground Air RB rather, and I'll also be showing you the functionality of the TALD targeting pod as well as its 2,000 pound laser guided bomb. By the way, let's get into some matches here and see what we could do. So some interesting things as we get a little bit closer to the match here. We do have a cockpit in this aircraft, which is very nice. It doesn't look like my skin. Maybe it just doesn't look fully rendered from in here. But anyways, the cockpit is fully rendered. It is fully loaded, and so that kind of indicates to me that they have a bit, it's a bit more further along development than the other aircraft. So as you can see here, it looks very, very good, in my opinion. But I'm also not an expert on Tornado cockpits. Now, it does have reverse thrust. I put the reverse thrust on right now, but it doesn't switch that flip, or flip that switch, rather. But this thing has phenomenal roll rate, even with all of this armament on it. It's just excellent in that regard. But ultimately, again, this is a strike aircraft through and through. This is going to be something that you want for ground RB, and that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to say, oh yeah, you know, this is going to be a great Air RB plane, I think it'll be good. It's got 2 AIM-9Ls, and it'll be a really good strike aircraft. You can take out at least 2 enemy bases with this, but again, it's not going to be phenomenal in that regard. So one other thing here is that, and I'm not really sure if this is accurate, but it does not have access to any countermeasures. So it does say that there is a flare, modification that you can unlock. But as of right now, just gotta launch that up, check that out. But as of right now, the flare modification, or not flare, but the countermeasures for the chaff, I can't use them. I'm trying to use them right now. It says that there are no countermeasures. So I'm assuming that that's just something in the dev server. It might be. So let's go bomb some of these. And one other thing to note before we do this, as you can see, when the wings are fully swept back, the bombs kind of detach. So this is what I hate about dev server gameplay. Unfortunately, what happens is that, okay, that's good, so you only need 5 bombs to destroy a base. But unfortunately, what happens is you get stuck into a match mid-match. So let's get into another match, see what we could do. And one other thing to bear in mind here is that, as you can see, pretty much every aircraft in the, on both teams are bots. Of course, these are slightly better than your regular NPC bots like the CL-13s and all that just kind of fly around aimlessly, but they're not much better. And so when it comes to dev server gameplay, you have to understand, one, that the stats are not finalized. So as you can see, I'm already going faster than the stat card suggests that I should be able to. And I'm more or less a C level. And then two, you also have to remember that this is more just testing how the planes fly, how the vehicles, that looks odd from underneath, but how everything kind of works rather than the killing capabilities. We all know how AIM-9Ls perform, for the most part. We all know that. And so they're expected to perform pretty well. What this is, however, is a new aircraft platform, and thus you can kind of base it on its merits at that point. So I feel like, being that this is a totally new aircraft, there's nothing, there's no other Panavia Tornado variants in War Thunder, I feel like that's where the value of this gameplay kind of comes in. And as much as I would love to get like 50 kills in a match, unfortunately, it's just not always the case. And most of the time, you join a match mid-match. So that said, we have a J35D here. They have an actual player somewhere. I kind of want to try to search for him, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to. So I'm going to launch that. And perfect. Got the kill. Was expecting it. Now go after some ground targets in a second. Wow, this thing eats fuel, as one could imagine. Probably not the best thing to do there, but this is not the most maneuverable plane. It's got fantastic roll rate, again. Really, really nice. And it can go after ground targets, of course. I'm doing pretty well in my match. I got 2 kills. Let's see if I can take out, because this is a new cannon, by the way. It's a 27mm cannon. First of its type in War Thunder. I'm going to put my air brakes on a little bit. Perfect. Got that. Be a nice way to get yourself some extra points in air RB. And so I'm assuming this will be an easy enough kill. Yes, it is. Perfect. Okay, so this thing can take out enemy vehicles pretty easily, ground vehicles. So I'm going to land, bring it back up in the sky, and see what we can do at that point. But man, this plane is beautiful. Like, look at that. It just looks... It's kind of like an F-14 mixed with an F-111 and then chunkied up a little bit. It just looks really, really nice. Man. But unfortunately, like I said... Wow, look at my fuel just drop. But unfortunately, like I said, it just does not have access, at least currently, to countermeasures for whatever reason. So as you might be able to see, I've got my one last thing here. I want to use a 2,000-pound laser-guided bomb. Let's see how well this works. Of course, I've got the TALD targeting pod underneath here, so let's check out this bad mamma jamma. Okay, and it should be somewhere right there. Perfect. Okay. Targeting now. And hopefully it hits. I mean, I can go over to an extent, I suppose. Still targeting, and boom! Right on it. Perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. That's what I like to see. That being said, let me know what you guys think about this this aircraft in the comments below. I think of all 3 of the aircraft, this is probably the weakest. I think that the F-16 is hands down a better plane than this. Even when it comes to close air support, one could make a strong argument for the F-16 being better than this, which kind of sucks. I want to see Britain getting better aircraft. Not that the Tornado is a bad aircraft, but of course, it only has 2 AIM-9Ls compared to the F-16's 6 AIM-9Ls. The F-16 has AGM-65Bs, which this doesn't. This has guided bombs, which require a bit more working with, if that makes a level of sense. So it takes a bit more work with the Tornado. It can still be extremely powerful, but it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel quite as capable. Either way, though, let me know what you guys think again in the comments below. But thanks so much, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.